To the forestry industry. The rising number of deaths there causing concern and sparking a new campaign now to raise awareness and hopefully bring the numbers down. In a moment we're going to meet a couple lending their very painful story to the campaign. But first, this report from Kristen Hall.
Far from home, the Callow family face a heartbreaking reminder of what they've lost.
Really upsetting, but it looks really good, and I think it's going to get a lot of attention, hopefully.
31-year-old single dad Ken Callow was killed in Gisborne's Whararata forest in 2011. Now he's the face of a new safety campaign.
It's asking a question, and I hope that a lot of other people are asking that question too.
Ken was crushed to death after felling a rotten tree. The Council of Trade Unions says it's exhaustion that's driving forestry workers to their deaths. Now they want an inquiry into the industry.
The death toll is unacceptable, the accident rate is unacceptable, and for it to change, what is wrong with having a good look? We did that with Pike River, we had a good look, we had a good inquiry, we should do it here as well.
Since 2008, nearly 900 forestry workers have been seriously injured and 24 have died. The latest death of 23-year-old Robert Papara just last week. Another young dad, colleagues say, was taken too soon.
Easy to get on with, obliging, punctual. He was a good guy.
When we first covered this story, we asked Labour Minister Simon Bridges whether there would be an inquiry into the forestry industry. He told us the government was boosting funds for general health and safety, but wouldn't be focusing on forestry. This latest statement, after yet another death, says the same. The opposition's Labour spokesperson says that's not good enough.
I think they're hoping it will go away. They have this big task force on health and safety that's due to report back at the end of April. What I think will be missing from that are issues around contracting.
The Forestry Contractors Association says they've been working more on safety culture than ever before, and that a new safety code rolled out in March has been extensively consulted. When we talked to them in February, they said the rate of casualties compared to productivity was falling.
The number of serious harm incidents per 1,000 metres harvested is actually going down. It's a third of what it was in 2000.
But it's that push for productivity this family thinks killed their son.
Well, with us now are Roger and Caroline Callow, Ken's parents, and also his two young sons, Ali and Max. Thank you very much for joining us. Wow, that billboard we just saw Kristen standing in front of, what killed Ken Callow? How was that, seeing that for you guys yesterday? You saw it for the first time yesterday?
Yes, walking down that street, it was like all these emotions just came back to us, to see his face up there. Almost indescribable, really.
It is a very hard-punching and direct approach and message, something which you obviously sanctioned and said, yep, let's do this because it's just so important. Caroline, tell me about the general reaction to the campaign.
It's created a lot of conversation, so a lot of people are talking about it. I think it's something that people don't like to talk about. The guys in the forestry, they just want to go to work, do the job and not actually think about the dangers.
But they would be aware of these dangers, no doubt, whereas the general public possibly has next to no idea quite what sort of potential danger and the conditions these guys are often working in.
Oh, that's dead right. I have been up on the job with my son a couple of times, and for me, looking at the way that some of these guys have to work, I guess they feel safe, but for an outsider looking in, it is quite mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I was reading about the events which led to Ken's death were described as unfortunate, which I believe angered you, obviously both. I mean, is there a complete lack of sensitivity, a complete lack of understanding by the forestry industry?
What sticks in my mind is not just the most unfortunate comment, but also the investigation done into his death. The outcome of that was that he was the architect of his own demise.
Because the industry argues, well, we saw it just now, well, the number of deaths has gone down by 2/3 since 2000. There's a new code of conduct in place to try and safeguard the workers. Your opinion on those?
There is other issues that come into it. I remember seeing Ken the morning of that fateful day when he went to work, and he was looking pretty tired. He hadn't had a good night's sleep. It's almost, if you take into account tiredness, weather conditions, the pressure, the danger they work under, it's a whole lot for these young men to cope with. And perhaps those conditions need to be given more consideration.
And that's what you're really driving at, to have a much clearer and more specific set of guidelines for the workers.
Dead right.
Let's talk about Ali and Max here, because Ken obviously looked after these wee guys himself, and so how have they been? Been pretty good? Are they okay? You all right, boys? Yeah. How's Grandma and Grandad? What do they call you?
This is Nan, and
Nan.
I'm Wog.
Nan and Wog. How are Nan and Wog? They're looking after you well, guys? Yeah, cool. Oh, they've obviously been heavily affected, I would have assumed.
Yeah, especially the older one. But we're trying to carry on Ken's legacy and do what we have to do to bring these kids up along with their mum, and yeah.
Can I just finally ask, why do you think the industry is so reluctant to put in what seem obviously to you and more and increasingly to the rest of us as very sort of straightforward safety measures? You know, hours to work, hours to sleep, hours of rest, etc.
They do have a lot of straightforward safety measures, but so far what's happened is not changing anything, and what we're sort of saying is that perhaps this industry needs outside help to actually make things change. To help these guys. It's almost like it's a closed shop. We're the only ones that know what we're doing, sort of thing. Perhaps that's not right.
All right, well, thank you very much, Roger, Caroline, and Ali and Max for getting up early to come in and see us. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the other